Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with the second chapter of science, plants, structure and function. We have learnt in our previous standard the different parts of a plant. You are very well aware that the parts of a plant can be divided into two systems. The part of the plant which is above the soil is known as the shoot system, and the part of the plant which grows below the soil is known as the root system. In the shoot system, the different parts of the plant are stem, which supports the plant, fruit, which protects the seeds, leaf, which performs photosynthesis, flower, which helps in reproduction. The root system consists of roots which absorb water and minerals. Now we are going to study in detail about each and every part of the plant. So let's first start with radicle and plumule. Now when we place some soaked moth beans or gram seeds in a flask between the paper and glass wall, we observe some changes taking place in the seeds in a span of 2 to 3 days. What do we observe? We observe a structure like this. The seed starts germinating. We see a small outgrowth growing towards the downward side. So this part which grows from inside the seed towards the soil is called the radicle. After a few hours, we see a part growing above the soil. So the part of the seed that grows above the soil is called as the plumule. So a seed, when it germinates, it consists of two outgrowths. The outgrowth growing downward is known as the radicle, and the outgrowth growing up is known as the plumule. Root. The root that forms from the radicle grows into the ground. Now the radicle which we have seen after the seed gets germinated slowly develops into a root. The root is thick near the ground and gradually it tapers towards the end. You can see over here the root is thick at its base, and as it goes down it starts tapering. This part of the plant growing below the soil for support is called root. So this you will find it in the root system, that is below the soil, and the main function of the root here is to support the plant. Now let's discuss about the types of root. There are two different types of root. They are known as taproot and fibrous root. Let's first start with taproot. Roots of some plants produce secondary roots which grow obliquely and spread far and wide in the soil. As you can see over here in the picture, this is the main root, and you can see some secondary roots growing in oblique direction. The main root is also known as the primary root. Such kind of root, if it is found, we call it as a taproot. Roots bear hair-like processes near the tip. These are known as root hairs. We can see some root hairs coming out from the primary as well as the secondary root. The root tip is delicate and is covered with a root cap which protects the root tip from injuries. So the tip of the root is always having a cover or a cap which is known as root cap, so that it is protected from injuries. Taproot is found in dicotyledonous plants. Dicotyledonous plants are those plants in where the seed is having two cotyledons, that is two sides, sections of the seed. You will find the seed can be divided into two equal halves. Example, taproot is found in carrot, radish, pea plant. The next kind of root is known as fibrous root. Thread-like or fiber-like roots arising from the stem are called as fibrous root. We can see over here, their thin roots appear in the form of fibers. Here we are not able to identify a primary root and a secondary root. All the roots appear in the form of fibers. It is usually formed by thin, moderately branching roots growing from the stem. Fibrous root is found in monocotyledonous plants, which means here this kind of root is found in plants which have only one cotyledon. The seed contains of only one cotyledon. Example of fibrous roots are rice, grass, onion. The next kind of root which we are going to learn is adventitious root. Now, adventitious roots are found in plants like maize, sugarcane, sorghum. They have such types of root, and such plants have two types of roots. Some roots are underground, whereas some grow from the stem just above the soil. The roots which are underground, they can be taproot or they can be fibrous root. But the roots which are growing above the stem, they are known as adventitious root. Here we can see some roots growing above the stem. So such kind of root is known as adventitious root. Example, maize. Now we have some modified kinds of roots also. Which are they? The first one is known as aerial roots. Such kind of roots you will find in case of banyan trees. Then we have pneumatophore, which is found in mangroves. The next is runner roots, which you find in strawberry plants. And the fourth one is stilt root, again, which you find in case of sugarcane. So these are the different varieties of roots. They are also called as modified roots. What are the main functions of root? The main functions of root is absorption of water and minerals. It also anchors and supports the plant. That means it holds the plant firmly in the soil. These two are the main functions of root. Apart from that, we have already studied modified roots which perform additional functions. The one stilt root which we have seen, which is usually found in sugarcane, is there for additional support. Then we have runners, which we found in strawberry plant, is used for vegetative propagation, which means in order to produce a new plant, this root grows in a horizontal direction, and at one point the new plant starts growing. The next kind is pneumatophores, which we have seen in case of mangrove plants. This is important because such plants grow in marshy places, so the roots grow above the soil in order to breathe. The next type is known as aerial roots, which we have seen in case of banyan tree. Such roots are important because they absorb moisture from the air. The last type is underground roots. Underground roots, as we find in case of carrot and radish or beetroot, they are all important because they store food. So with this, we complete the part or the first part of the plant, which is known as root. Thank you, children.